From the Lincoln Journal-Star, this is the Life in the Red podcast with Luke Mullin, Amie, Brent, Wagner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Life in the Red podcast. I'm Luke Mullin, joined by Amie and Brent Wagner. That means one thing. We're back. We're talking about Nebraska volleyball. Been 2 weeks. We're continuing our bi-weekly theme, so hope all of you listeners and viewers.
Let's do Vandy football.
That would be good. The emergency Vanderbilt pod. I'm sure
Diego Pavia went on SportsCenter today and was surprised by one Johnny Manziel. So that's what I was watching before we came in here. So there's more Vandy football.
How about that? Exciting stuff. But we got Nebraska volleyball to talk about. Since we last came on here, 4 straight wins for them, and they're now at an 11-match winning streak. This Nebraska volleyball team off to a 4-0 start in Big Ten play. So let's go through the recent matches, get everybody caught up, get some thoughts from the both of you on what went right, what Nebraska needs to improve from these matches. And the first one to talk about, win over UCLA, win number 700 for John Cook with Nebraska. That was the conference opener, but maybe a match that the Huskers should have swept, do you think?
Seems like it was 9 years ago. It was impressive. That's a team you should probably sweep at home. Good to get it done.
700 for John Cook. That's a pretty big number.
Yeah, it's just impressive. What is it, like 87% of his matches? And yeah, it's obviously they've established a program and they get top recruits, but each year it gets a little tougher, I think, to win in this sport. So it's impressive how they've kept it up.
Yeah, a lot of years of sustained dominance there from him. So to get to that 700 mark, but that was a match where that third set, Nebraska dropped that one, had to grind out the fourth, and kind of note in this one, kind of a prelude to some of these other matches. Taylor Landfair really got going, 13 kills in that one. She'll have a big role to play in some of these other matches, but kind of the big match I wanted to talk about was that USC one that followed up UCLA. Old friends coming back, Allie Batenhorst getting a really special reception from the Nebraska crowd. Yeah,
it was, she was a little emotional even running out there for warm-ups, and it continued for her. We actually had the chance to talk to her after the match, which was really cool. But she said that she didn't know what to expect, and didn't know how she'd react. She was crying. She was surprised by the kind gesture from Lexi Rodriguez and Kennedy Orr and Harper Murray running over, giving her a big hug and surprising her with the mini ball, all with like personalized notes and stuff to her. So it was really special. Nebraska swept USC, but I don't know. It was still pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that was probably the highlight that most people took away from the match. And I mean, Brent, obviously, you covered Allie for several years. I mean, seeing her back there with her former teammates, I'm sure this was a match that Nebraska was looking forward to in a big way as well.
Yeah, I think these fans probably think these things are more awkward than they actually are. Lexi Rodriguez called her best friend. Soon after she decided to leave, I know many or all of the players came and spent time with her. She was still with the team in the spring. She was obviously she could have had better moments in Nebraska, but you got to remember she, as a freshman, she was big in that match they won at Texas when they upset Texas to get to the Final Four. Helped them win a Big Ten championship last year. Helped them get back to the Final Four. She played. It was good to see her play well. She hit 242 against Nebraska. Led them in that match. She's hitting 225 for the season. It's probably a contender now to be all Big Ten. So things are going well. I mean, she graduated from here, and so it was a neat night, I would say.
Yeah, some great memories for her, obviously, in a Nebraska volleyball uniform. I think that was the common theme from folks there celebrating that, and Batenhorst 13 kills in that one. But Harper Murray had a big match, 12 kills. Bergen Riley, she's been phenomenal. These last few weeks was big in that one. But let's talk about 2 matches. Road sweep over Illinois, home win over Iowa. Some changes to the lineup. This has been something interesting to see over these last couple of matches. One of them, an injury-related, Andy Jackson missing both those matches. Layla Blackwell stepping up in a big way.
Yeah. from what it sounds like, it's relatively minor for Andy. Should be back soon. She went through 3/4 of practice yesterday, so she's trending in the right direction. But I mean, what a testament to what Nebraska calls their game changers, right? They don't call them bench players. It's game changers. You come in and you change the game. And that's what Layla has been able to do over the past couple of matches.
Yeah, she had 7 kills against Illinois, 9 against Iowa, big in that block as well. And then the other lineup change I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, Taylor Landfair, she's been getting going. And hey, she started these last 2 over Lindsay Krause. Krause's been able to sub in a little bit late as Landfair's faded, but I mean, Brent, is this a sign of things to come? Is Cook just experimenting with the lineup? I mean, what do you make of that?
I mean, a lot of that's up to them. I mean, if one of them came in and hit 250, 300 for 3 or 4 matches, then they would have the advantage. But I think it's always going to be a possibility that the other one's going to come off the bench. I mean, if it's an Elite 8 match and you lose the first set and one of them is hitting 100, then you're going to go to the bench and bring in the former Big Ten Player of the Year or a 3-year player at Nebraska. So I think you'll continue to see this, and it's kind of in their hands. If one of them, I mean, obviously there's so many other factors that go into it. We mostly focus on kills and hitting percentage, but it's also Lindsay's really good server. Taylor has potential to be a really good blocker. But yeah, if one of them, like I said, has brings a consistency to that position, then they're 1A.
And some of that goes to what they see in serve and receive before games too, right? Or serve and pass, excuse me. Just like if somebody's having an off morning in that regard, and we don't get to see that, but they do, that can also kind of inform those game time decisions.
Yeah, and this is why we need your veteran perspective on the pod, Brent, because I think it was a couple episodes ago, I was like, oh, these transfers, they're barely playing. When's Cook going to get these guys? You're like, he'll get them ready for Big Ten play. And sure enough, that's what has shaken out. And that game against Illinois as well, sisters coming together, Bergen and Reagan Riley, a pretty cool moment for the 2 of them as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love when those things happen. And in Big Ten play, that's never necessarily guaranteed, right? Non-con, John likes to schedule those games, but when the Big Ten is involved, the scheduling's out of their hands. So.
Yep. And that was a sweep for Nebraska on the road. And as I mentioned, the most recent win, they took down Iowa. Stole both of these statistics directly from your story, Brent. So no credit for me on this one. Rebecca Alec and Layla Blackwell, they had 18 of Nebraska's 44 kills. Huskers hit 404, held Iowa to 155. Pretty dominant day for them. Yeah,
well, it's really good to see. Obviously a reflection of how well they were in serve receive. Olivia Mock, Lexi Rodriguez, Lainey Choboy. You don't get those numbers from 2 middle blockers unless you're really good in serve and pass. So it was great to see. Good to see Layla get. You got to play at some point to get better, and she's got those opportunities. In the off season, everybody was like, "Well, what are they doing bringing her in?" Well, you can't have 2 middle blockers on a college roster because somebody could get hurt. Maybe it's for 2 games, and maybe it's for a month. You got to have another one ready, and Nebraska has a really good one, and it's been good to see her get some experience.
Yeah, and so these recent matches in the books, Big Ten play, it does go quick. Still continuing to get through that, and some big matches on the radar for Nebraska later this season. But as we kind of zoom out for the Huskers, still ranked 2nd nationally. That Pittsburgh team, number 1, finally dropped their first set of the season, by the way. Still very impressive. But Nebraska and Penn State, only 2 teams 4-0 in conference play so far. Really competitive conference, kind of shaping up how you thought it would, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that's going to be scheduled, but Penn State definitely got my attention when they went and swept at Purdue, and that's just going to be really fascinating to watch with teams not playing each other 2 games apiece this year as much. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. But yeah, it's been really good, and Pittsburgh plays tonight, so it'll be. Obviously, they're doing some really impressive things. They're a year older, but that's a team that Nebraska beat pretty handily in the national semifinals.
Yeah, and the upcoming matches for Nebraska this weekend, hosting Purdue on Friday night and Rutgers on Saturday. Rutgers 5-10, 0-4 in Big Ten play. On the flip side, Purdue, ranked nationally, one of the stronger teams in the Big Ten, got a standout middle blocker, Raven Colvin, going to be a big test for Nebraska.
Yeah, just because Nebraska knows that, Purdue doesn't have as balanced of an attack, they're really reliant on 2 people, really, 3 people. It doesn't mean they're going to be super easy to stop. They're dominant for a reason. They're number 10 for a reason. And I think it could be a good one on Friday.
Yeah. And following that up, Nebraska's on the road, matches at Michigan State and Ohio State. Both those teams currently 0-4 in conference play. So, I mean, those are the upcoming 4 matches. Obviously, that Purdue one stands out above the rest. But, Brent, I mean, just what do you think is key for Nebraska against Purdue and over these 4 matches in total?
I mean, Purdue's got one of the best players in the conference, middle blocker, Raven Colvin, and she's a little different, more of an all-around player, playing middle blocker. She's a really good server, a good blocker, obviously a really good hitter. And then they have 2 good outside hitters, potential to have 2 good outside hitters as well. So yeah, if Nebraska can have a really good match serving, it'll go a long ways to helping them get the win.
Yeah. So those are the upcoming matches. Both of you going to be checking out the action at Devaney this weekend?
Oh yeah.
As always, you're always there. What am I even asking for? But as always, appreciate you jumping on, sharing some insights, Brent, and appreciate all of you listeners and viewers coming back to the Life in Red podcast for this week's volleyball update. We'll be back with you in 2 weeks, but until then, that'll do it for today's episode.
Thank you for listening to this week's Life in the Red podcast. Our theme music is composed by Sasha Indy. The stories continue on journalstar.com.